I was already late feeding the horses when I saw it, thick, ugly steel posts driven into the ground like spears. A brand new fence stretched across my own driveway, slicing straight through the dusty path that led to my ranch. My name's Jordan McAllister, and I've lived on this land for nearly 8 years. Never had a problem, never made waves. But now, some smug HOA president named Trish Delaney thought she could box me in like cattle. My blood boiled as I stomped toward the gate, my boots kicking up dirt. There was a shiny lock on it. Brand new. Cold to the touch. And right there, bolted to the side, a metal sign that read, "Private property, no access without HOA permit." I stared at it, stunned. This wasn't a shared road. This was my land. That fence was technically on my property, barely a foot from the legal easement that marked the start of the HOA's jurisdiction. But they went ahead anyway, claiming the road interfered with the visual consistency of the community. That's HOA talk for, your land doesn't match our perfect little lawns. I yanked at the gate, but it didn't budge. Behind me, Duke, my oldest horse, snorted impatiently. The horses needed water. The chickens hadn't been fed. And I couldn't even get to the barn. My own driveway had become a prison wall. I didn't know it yet, but this was war. It all started 4 months ago when the housing development next to my ranch expanded. The land I owned had been in my family for 2 generations. Rough, open, and beautiful, nothing like the matchbox homes and synthetic turf rolling in next door. At first, it was small things. Loud music on weekends. Stray trash blowing over the fence. Then came the letters. "Dear Jordan," they began, always the same condescending tone, "your barn is an eyesore. Your property decreases home values. Please consider upgrading your fencing to match HOA standards." I ignored them. I wasn't part of their HOA, and I had no obligation to follow their rules. But then came Trish. Tall, icy, and always wearing a power suit like she was running for mayor. She showed up at my front porch one morning with a clipboard and fake smile. "Jordan, we'd like to propose a collaboration," she said, her tone syrupy and sharp at the same time. "We think it would be beneficial to everyone if your property aligned more closely with the neighborhood's aesthetic. Translation: tear down my rustic fencing, paint the barn white, and hide my livestock behind hedges." I said no. Politely at first. Then, not so politely. What followed was a slow, calculated attack. Noise complaints about my tractor. Letters to the county about unpermitted agricultural operations. And now this, a locked fence that blocked me from half my ranch. That night, I sat on the porch, staring out at the moonlight bouncing off the cold steel gate. My dog, Rusty, curled up at my feet. I was tired of being pushed around, tired of being treated like I didn't belong. But most of all, I was angry. And I had an idea. 2 weeks later, the gate was still there, but now it had a few new features. I had a friend, Doug, who used to install toll systems on private roads in Texas. With a little welding and some wiring, we retrofitted the HOA's precious gate with a license plate reader and a bright red sign. Private toll road, $5 entry. Automatic billing in effect. That's right. If they wanted to use my road, if their landscapers or delivery trucks or guests wanted to take the shortcut that sliced through my property, they'd have to pay. Legally, I couldn't block access outright due to an old easement agreement. But I could charge for maintenance. And suddenly, the very gate they'd used to lock me out became my new source of income. Trish was the first to see it. She came storming down the path in her heels, phone in hand, shouting something about lawsuits. I didn't even look up from my lawn chair. Just raised my iced tea and said, "Hope you have exact change." She froze. Her lips twitched. And for once, she had nothing to say. But I knew this wasn't the end. Trish didn't strike me as the kind of woman who gave up. And I was right. Because 3 days later, I woke up to find a notice nailed to my front door. Cease and desist, unauthorized toll collection on subdivision access road. And just like that, the war was back on. I stared at the notice like it had personally insulted my mother. Trish had gone full scorched earth, legalese and all. The paper was stamped and signed by the HOA's lawyer, a guy named Carl Yates. I knew the name. He drove a pearl-white Mercedes and once tried to sue a neighbor for painting their mailbox the wrong shade of beige. The letter was full of threats, fines, lawsuits, even a forced removal of unauthorized infrastructure. It claimed my toll system violated neighborhood ordinances, even though, again, I wasn't in the damn neighborhood. I called Doug. He laughed so hard I thought he'd drop the phone. "Jordan," he said between chuckles, "you own that dirt. That gate is on your side of the easement. They can't touch it unless they want to trespass." Still, I called a lawyer just to be sure. She looked over the documents, then gave me the kind of smile people give when they find a loophole big enough to drive a semi through. "Let them sue," she said. "You're well within your rights. And if they want to get nasty, we can too." It gave me just enough peace of mind to push forward. But the HOA? They didn't back down, they doubled down. The next week was pure chaos. It started with sabotage. Someone cut the wires on the toll reader. Doug and I repaired it in a day, added a backup battery, and installed a solar panel cam aimed straight at the gate. We caught the next idiot red-handed, some teenager with a hoodie and bolt cutters. I sent the footage to the sheriff. Then came the flood of complaints. Every time a car got charged, someone from the HOA called to yell. Trish left me voicemails dripping with fake concern. "Jordan, this toll is causing confusion for our residents. Think of the children." Right. Because little Madison might be traumatized by her mom paying $5 to go around a gate that they put up. But the best part? The money. I'd made almost $600 in just 9 days. UPS trucks. Food deliveries. Even some residents trying to sneak through because my path was faster than the winding main road. Trish's fence had turned my property into a toll gold mine. So I made improvements. Painted new signs. Installed lights. Set up a website with an FAQ, "Why am I being charged? Where does the money go? Can I avoid the toll?" Answer, "Sure. Use your own roads." People started talking. Not just neighbors, reporters. A local news crew rolled up with cameras and asked if they could film. I said yes. By evening, the headline was everywhere. "Man turns HOA blockade into toll road, and it's totally legal." I watched it with a beer in hand, Rusty curled up beside me. I should have felt victorious. But part of me knew this was just the calm before the storm. The next morning, I found tire tracks in my pasture. Deep ones, like someone had driven a truck straight across my property, avoiding the toll road entirely. I followed the trail and my gut dropped. They'd cut through my back fence. Snapped one of the wooden posts clean in half. There were beer cans crushed in the mud. More than one. I knew what this was. It wasn't just defiance. It was a message. I filed a report with the sheriff, who nodded and scribbled in his notebook, but I could see it in his eyes, he was worn down. They all were. Nobody liked dealing with HOA drama. Too many egos, not enough common sense. Still, I couldn't ignore what this meant. Trish and her crew had crossed a line. Later that week, I attended a town hall meeting. Not because I wanted to, but because Trish put it in the newsletter, HOA president will address road dispute, all affected parties welcome. The room was packed. I stood in the back wearing my work jeans and flannel. Trish was up front, in a blazer the color of dried blood, pacing like a prosecutor. "This unauthorized toll road," she said, gesturing to a projector screen that showed an image of my gate, "is a blight on our community. It's hurting home values and endangering residents. I raised my hand. Ma'am, you put the gate up. I just made it useful. There were a few chuckles. Trish didn't flinch. We were protecting the neighborhood's integrity, she snapped. We didn't expect retaliation. I stepped forward, holding up the tire track photos. And I didn't expect sabotage. Someone's been trespassing on my land. Broke my fence. Damaged my property. That sound like integrity to you? For a second, the room was quiet. Then a man near the front stood up, gray hair, sharp voice. Trish, with all due respect, maybe you overstepped. Jordan's got a point. That was the crack in the dam. One voice turned into several. A woman said she was tired of all the fighting. A young couple admitted they'd rather pay $5 than take the long way around. Trish's smile faded. Her fingers tightened around the podium. That's when I realized, she wasn't scared of me. She was scared of losing control. And the harder she pushed, the closer she got to it. So I leaned forward and gave her what she hated most, a smile. This isn't a war, Trish, I said. It's business. You block my road, I charge rent. Seems fair, don't it? She said nothing. But her eyes said everything. She wasn't done. And neither was I. 3 days after the town hall, the county inspector showed up. Not in a quiet, check-the-boxes way, but with full fanfare. Orange vest, clipboard, even a drone buzzing overhead. Said he was there to investigate a zoning concern. I asked who filed the complaint. He just gave me a tight smile and said, anonymous tip. Trish. I knew at the moment he walked my property line with a measuring wheel. They were trying to hit me with a technicality, something small they could blow up into a violation big enough to shut me down. Easement disputes, unpermitted structures, commercial activity on agricultural land, you name it, they were fishing for it. He left with a few notes and a warning, if anything's non-compliant, you'll be notified in writing. I didn't wait. That night, I pulled out every deed, permit, and zoning doc I had. I scanned them, labeled them, and even made a binder so thick it could stop a bullet. Then I called my lawyer, Beth. She laughed when she saw the photos. They're grasping at straws, she said. But if they want to play games, let's make sure you've got a bigger board. And I did. Because I wasn't just going to win this, I was going to embarrass them. The next morning, I met with a local contractor and paid for something I never thought I'd need, a digital toll gate with an official business license. See, what Trish didn't realize is that once she put that fence up and limited access, she turned my private driveway into a service road. And as long as I had proper permits, I could register it as a micro-enterprise. So I did. McAllister Access Solutions, LLC. Services, property entry management, road maintenance fees, and digital access control. Within 48 hours, I had paperwork in hand. I updated the signs. Added a QR code to pay online. Even gave the toll road a name, Trish's Turnpike. Petty? Absolutely. But it worked. Word spread fast, especially after someone posted a video of the new sign online. It went viral. This man just made his HOA pay to use the road they blocked. It hit 3 million views in 2 days. Reporters called. So did a podcast. Even a late-night show made a joke about it. But the best part? The HOA's own members started turning on her. One morning, I found a folded note taped to my mailbox. No return address. We're sorry. We didn't vote for the fence. Trish pushed it through in a closed meeting. If you ever run for HOA board, we'll back you. That's when I realized, I wasn't the villain in this story. I was the guy standing up to the bully. And bullies hate when people start cheering for the other side. Trish must have felt the pressure, because the next thing she did was desperate. She brought a lawsuit. Civil court. Accused me of operating an unlicensed toll operation and creating a public nuisance. Said the road was a hazard. Claimed the gate scared children. My lawyer and I walked into court with our binder, business license, and drone footage of cars calmly passing through the gate like it was a Chick-fil-A drive-thru. The judge took one look at the evidence, flipped through the easement maps, and sighed. "This isn't a public road," he said. And the plaintiff installed the fence without formal jurisdiction. Case dismissed. He didn't even give Trish a chance to rebut. She stormed out of the courtroom without a word. But that wasn't the twist. Because 2 days later, I got a visit, from her husband. He showed up at sundown, hat in hand, looking like he'd just swallowed his pride whole. "Jordan," he said, voice low. "I just wanted to say, not everyone in the house agrees with her methods." I raised a brow. "She's cost the HOA thousands in legal fees," he continued. "And she's been hiding things from the board." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a flash drive. "I don't want to get involved, but maybe this'll help." Then he walked off. I took it inside, plugged it in, and what I found made my jaw drop. Emails. Dozens of them. Trish had been pressuring inspectors, falsifying meeting notes, even threatening homeowners who didn't fall in line. There were screenshots of her calling me a redneck squatter, and saying she'd make an example out of him. It was a goldmine. Evidence of corruption, abuse of power, and motive. And I knew exactly what to do with it. That night, I posted the emails anonymously to a community forum used by HOA members. Just a few at first. Enough to raise eyebrows. Then I sent the full batch to the local news outlet. They ran with it. HOA president under fire for targeting ranch owner in private feud. The fallout was immediate. Board members resigned. Residents called for a vote to remove her. One even spray-painted "NO Tolls, NO Tyrants" on the community pool gate. And Trish? She disappeared. No more letters. No more threats. Just silence. But I knew better than to believe it was over. Because power like hers doesn't go down easy. And revenge always has a sequel. 2 months passed, and life got quiet again, eerily quiet. The toll gate still ticked away, silently logging charges as cars rolled through. Most of the neighbors had made peace with it. Some even waved when they passed. I dropped the fee down to $2 for residents and offered monthly passes. It wasn't about the money anymore, it was about the message. But beneath that calm was a tension. Like the last breath before a storm. I hadn't heard from Trish since the email leak. She resigned from the HOA in disgrace, citing personal health reasons, though everyone knew the truth. Her husband filed for separation 2 weeks later. The board replaced her with a retired schoolteacher named Evelyn, who actually came by with fresh banana bread and a handwritten apology. Still, I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. Trish wasn't the kind of woman who lost quietly. And I was right. The letter came in a plain envelope, no return address. I opened it cautiously, like it might hiss. Inside was a single line, printed in bold. "Hope you enjoy your toll road. I just bought the land underneath it." I blinked, then read it again. That was impossible. My land was clear. I owned the entire strip, registered, surveyed, and recorded. But just to be sure, I drove down to the county assessor's office the next morning. The clerk pulled up the records. My parcel was intact. No changes. But then she frowned. "Wait a minute," she said. "There's a flag on the access road. Looks like a quitclaim deed was filed for a 3-foot strip alongside your property. 2 weeks ago. Just enough for a utility corridor." I felt my stomach twist. That was the edge of the easement, the sliver of land that technically bordered my fence. She hadn't bought my land. She'd bought a legal technicality. And worse, she'd filed for a right-of-way permit from the county. If it was approved, she could demand access through the side. Cut through my fencing. Render the toll road useless. It was her final chess move. But she'd made a mistake. She thought I was still playing checkers. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the porch, staring out at the pasture, Rusty at my side. My mind ran through every option, every trick she might use, every angle I hadn't covered. And then it hit me. Trish might have the paperwork. But I had something more powerful, the community. I pulled up every video, every article, every forum post. I compiled letters of support, screenshots of neighbors praising the toll system, and signatures from residents who preferred my road over the main one. Then I went to the next town council meeting, uninvited, but not unwelcome. I stood in front of the microphone, holding a stack of folders. "My name is Jordan McAllister," I said. "I'm the rancher who built a toll road because the HOA blocked my driveway. And now, the same person who put up that gate is trying to sabotage it again." I laid out the timeline, showed the emails, played a clip of Trish at the town hall saying she wanted me gone. I passed out documents. Legal, clear, and impossible to ignore. The room buzzed. Council members whispered. Then one of them leaned forward. "Mr. McAllister, are you saying this was all part of a personal vendetta?" I nodded. "Yes, sir. But it's not just about me anymore. It's about setting a precedent, letting people weaponize bureaucracy to punish neighbors they don't like." There was a silence. Then a vote. Permit denied. 1 week later, Trish's little loophole collapsed. The county rescinded her right-of-way application and flagged her deed for investigation. Turned out she used a shell company to buy the strip of land, technically legal, but shady as hell. Once the press caught wind, it was all over. Whatever shred of reputation she had left went up in smoke. I never saw her again. She moved out quietly, her house sold to a young couple who installed a chicken coop in the backyard. They invited me over for dinner once. I brought homemade jerky and we laughed about Trish's turnpike. The toll road still stands. Still collects. But now, it's something more than just a gate. It's a symbol. That you can fight back. That you can stand your ground when people try to push you out of your own life. And if someone builds a fence to box you in, you turn it into a toll booth. Because in the end, Trish tried to close me in. But all she did was open the gate to something bigger.